Death's Door released to a generally warm welcome. Since then, has it gone rigor mortis? Let's find out, shall we? You play as a small sword-wielding crow. Yes, you heard that correctly, a crow. Our feathered hero is a reaper working at the headquarters of the Reaping Commission. The Commission is a bureaucratic organisation that collects the souls of the dead, ensuring the cycle of life and death continues. The crows who work there are immortal while inside the headquarters, but as soon as they step into the mortal world, they begin to age and can die. Your task is to reap souls, particularly those that have lingered past their natural time. Reapers access the mortal realm through Death's Doors. Imagine Monsters Inc. if it was made by Tim Burton. These mystical portals allow them to hunt for assigned souls. Once a soul is collected, it's processed back at the Commission. At the start of the game, you're assigned the task of reaping a giant soul, a rare and powerful entity. You track down and defeat your target, but before you can return to the Commission, an older crow ambushes you, steals the giant soul and escapes through a mysterious sealed door. This particular Death's Door, larger and different from the normal Reaper doors, requires 3 more giant souls to be opened. The older crow explains that he's been trying to open this door for centuries because no soul has ever come back through it. He believes it leads to the true nature of death itself, something the crows have never been allowed to witness. With no other way to retrieve your stolen giant soul, you set off on a mission to reap 3 powerful beings who have unnaturally prolonged their lives. The story is a charming tale about the circle of life and the consequences of messing with it. It's full of dry, humorous writing, and although it's a simple concept, it drives the game along at a good pace and provides a few nice surprises here and there. Graphically, Death's Door opts for a minimalist low poly style with a muted colour palette. Its pale greens, browns and greys could be construed as being drab, but given the themes of death and the passage of time, the colour scheme creates a great atmosphere, and when a brighter colour is introduced, usually to depict an item of importance, it leaps off the screen. Our main character follows the same style as the landscape. He's a simple fella, but surprisingly expressive for a tiny crow. The devs have managed to portray a number of emotions by using exaggerated body language, and it works really well. The NPC characters in the game also use the same tricks to give them a unique personality. Enemies are many and varied, and their pint-sized bodies animated nicely. The larger-than-life bosses look great and are full of character, lumbering or zipping about the screen. They've got a real presence to them. I found performance to be rock solid with a consistently high frame rate and smooth frame pacing. I didn't get any noticeable pop-in and textures behaved themselves nicely. Having previously completed this game on Nintendo Switch, I can vouch for that version too, again featuring rock solid performance. The art style in Death's Door is a whimsical delight. Its focus on simplicity could have backfired, but its feeling of emptiness and scant detail creates a dreamlike world and complements the game's themes superbly. Graphics scores 23 out of 25. At its heart, Death's Door is an isometric, action-focused adventure game with tight combat, environmental puzzles and light RPG elements. It's set in a world of interconnected levels, with the offices of the Reaping Commission acting as a hub area. For those of you that have played Dark Souls, think Firelink Shrine here. Levels follow the blueprint of dungeons with enemies to defeat and puzzles to solve, helping you to progress to a boss confrontation, where you end up with a new spell which will help you open up other areas that were previously inaccessible. It's a recipe that the Zelda games have followed for a while, and it's no less fun here. Although the mechanics are nothing new, they are implemented really well. Picking up a new spell gives you that dopamine hit, knowing that you can now get to that item or place that's just out of reach. Levels are a mixed bunch, featuring haunted mansions, overgrown jungles and waterlogged ruins, to name a few. There's nice variety in these areas, and the enemies that populate them too. The puzzles contained within are not exactly brain busting, mainly revolving around flipping switches or picking up keys, but they are involved enough to make you at least stop and think for a second or two. The make or break of games like this is the combat, and what's on offer here is excellent. Your diminutive crow can find and use a few different weapons. The standard sword, a balanced weapon with medium speed and damage. A great sword, slower but deals high damage and has a longer reach. Daggers, faster than the other weapons but deal less damage per hit. A hammer, which has an area of effect attack, great for crowd control. And finally, your humble umbrella. All these weapons play in a slightly different manner, allowing you to find a playstyle that suits you. To complement weapon-based attacks, you also have a range of spells at your disposal. The bow and arrow gives you a long-range attack for hitting distant enemies and solving puzzles. The fireball deals AoE damage and can light torches. The hook shot can be used to grapple onto enemies or objects, allowing for quick movement, and the bomb spell can break cracked walls and damage enemies. These spells can be upgraded to a more powerful version by finding and defeating some hidden bosses. Combat is a lot of fun, helped no end by the responsive controls and tight hitboxes. Difficulty is pitched in the Goldilocks zone. The game won't stretch you to the limits in the way a full-blown Souls-like would, but enemies and bosses are no slouches either. You can't take too many hits before you're toast. I think of all the games I've played in my life, Death's Door may have the most perfectly weighted difficulty curve I've encountered. To ease your progress through the game, you can level our Corvus buddy up using the souls of defeated enemies. These souls can be poured into strength, dexterity, haste and magic, further tailoring how you want to play. Upon death, you retain these souls, preserving your progress to a new level. You can also save yourself from an early demise by finding life seeds throughout the levels which can be planted. These seeds blossom into a growing flower that can be consumed to restore your life. You can also boost your life energy and magic by collecting vitality and magic crystals that are hidden in shrines scattered among the levels. There are a fair few secrets for you to discover. Exploration is usually rewarded with something worthwhile, even if it's just a trinket revealing more about the game's lore. At the end of the main dungeons, you'll encounter the obligatory bosses. These behemoth baddies are really nicely designed. They attack in some unique ways, mixing up their attacks with sneaky new moves the closer to death they get. They're genuinely fun to battle and present a decent challenge. Every time you fight them, it feels like progress is made. Again, that great difficulty weighting comes into play here. When games are heavily influenced by their inspiration, it's often difficult to make them feel like their own entity, but Death's Door manages to take these borrowed mechanics and create a cohesive experience. With its combination of well thought out dungeons, challenging but fun combat and excellent pacing, gameplay scores 24 out of 25. Simply put, the soundtrack is outstanding. Track after track of quality music is poured into your ears like airborne silk. From haunting melodic tunes, bluesy, almost film noir type melodies and adrenaline-inducing thrill rides, it's all here and it's all superb. When it comes to game music, the talented David Fenn has previous. He's also responsible for the excellent music in another indie hit, Moonlighter, and more besides. David does have his own YouTube channel and I'd encourage you to check it out, you won't be disappointed. Sound effects are as minimal as the visuals but are also well done. From the pitter-patter of crow's feet to the thunderous thud when a boss lands, it's all well considered and implemented. There is no voice acting in Death's Door. I suspect this was probably due to financial constraints, but I feel like it was a wise decision. Voice acting can be a risk in indie games. If it's good, it can elevate the game to new heights, but if it's bad, it can annoy the player no end. The story is conveyed in a perfectly acceptable way in the form of speech bubbles. There isn't a ton of dialogue, so again, probably a good choice. The soundscape in Death's Door is excellent, the music is top drawer and the sound effects are subtle but fit right in with the game's character. Audio scores 24 out of 25. Like life itself, Death's Door is quite short. You can expect to reap the ending by about the 12-hour mark. However, the game gets a new lease of life after completion by giving you access to the bell tower. After ringing the bell, day turns to night and with it brings a few new things to do. You can backtrack into previously completed dungeons and find some new areas have opened up. Scouring these areas and completing puzzles in them will reveal more tablets of knowledge for you to collect. Eventually they open up the hidden true ending to the game. Playing After Dark also gives your trusty trowel a new ability. It starts to glow if you're in an area where you still have life seeds to collect, and for completionists, the doors in the Reaping Commission headquarters take on a red outer glow if you still have secrets to find in that area. It's not a huge amount of extra content, but it is a nice addition to what's there, and unlike some games, it doesn't feel like filler to just artificially extend game time. I don't really talk about achievements or trophies when it comes to games, as I feel they're totally an optional thing to do, but I did want to mention them here as I feel they have been well considered and respect the player's time. Some games get you to jump through some ridiculous hoops to gain these things, but Death's Door are pretty reasonable. I 100%ed the game without too much extra effort, which was nice. It doesn't affect the value score, but credit where it's due. Death's Door is a compact but well polished package and scores 20 out of 25 for value. Death's Door takes a healthy dose of tried and tested game mechanics from the likes of Zelda and Dark Souls and throws them together in one game. It's a risky strategy as games that take this approach can feel disjointed, but like a fine cup of coffee, all the elements here are blended beautifully. If you like your adventures charming, your combat sharp and challenging, and your soundtrack outstanding, then Death's Door should be on your shopping list and scores 91 out of 100.